today we're going to be making focaccia bread, which is really simple, really easy recipe. I use KitchenAid mixer, which is kind of massively important in any kitchen. Commercial wise, we definitely rely on them quite heavily, but in the home you can use your hands if you need to, just to literally impersonate a mixer while you're doing it. So in making the bread we need some tepid water, which isn't hot, isn't cold. When you put your finger in, it should feel just about the same temperature as your skin. We also have some fresh yeast, some Cornish sea salt, and some extra virgin olive oil. Also fundamental in making bread is extra strong bread flour. Now in process, it's very, very simple. It's just the quantities that are the most important. It's very important to get them exactly correct, so this is one of the very rare times that I will actually use scales when cooking. I believe that cooking is very much a personal thing, and it totally depends on how much you like of any different ingredient, which is why I don't necessarily follow recipes in cookbooks or anything, because Jamie Oliver doesn't know how much chilies you like, Gordon Ramsay doesn't know whether you like peanuts or not, so why not use as little or as much as them as you would like to use. Using your water, it's best to weigh out 600 grams. After you've weighed up 600 grams, you can then add 120 grams of olive oil. Some people use butters or fats or any other substitute in their bread, but we use extra virgin olive oil to give the focaccia a nice richness. So now we have 600 grams of warm water, 120 grams of extra virgin olive oil. We then need to add 1 kilo of strong bread flour. After we have the olive oil, the water and the flour in the bowl, it's time to add the fresh yeast. And the fresh yeast will obviously ferment and bubble and activate when it's incorporated with the water and the liquid mixture. Right now we need to add 30 grams of yeast and crumble it in with the flour. With the yeast on top of the flour, we then just add it, and using the flour to crumble it down. This allows it to rise more evenly and also incorporate fully into the bread dough mixture. Now as you can see, the flour starts to break down the yeast. So if you feel that you have a lot of flour running out of your hands, then you can always just pick up some more, or if you find any larger lumps of yeast, then you can just pick them up and continue to flake them. So we then have all of our crumbled yeast. Now that all our yeast is crumbled, add the key ingredient, salt, any chef's friend. Now we'll only add 20 grams of Cornish sea salt. I use Cornish sea salt because the flavour is a lot better than your normal table salt, and it's not as acidic as any others. Now that we have our full mix of sea salt, yeast, bread flour, olive oil and water, we can then use the mixer. To slowly bring the yeast into the liquid and to also incorporate the mix into a dough, we use the lowest setting that we have first. After the dough started coming together, using the highest speed on the mixer, we're going to mix it until all the dough starts to peel off the side of the mixer. And then taking the dough hook out so that we can get the most from our dough. You're then left with a rather unappealing looking bread dough. And trust me, it'll turn into something beautiful soon. So from here we take off all the dough of our dough hook. I'll be using that again. And then out of the mixing bowl, ready for the proving stage. It's going to prove for approximately 2 to 2.5 hours, or at least until it's doubled in volume, in a warm spot. Generally speaking, we live in England, so warm spots are hard to come across, but I work in a commercial kitchen where it's always warm. So we'll leave that for the first proving stage, and we'll be back in about 2 hours.